How's it going, y'all? Rosendo from MLH here. Thank you for sticking around. I love that I saw most of you at the opening ceremony. I see that folks are up here. Yes, in fact, we are turning up the heat. Hello again. I appreciate y'all. We've got a really tremendous workshop in store for y'all today. We've got our friends from Pieces coming in, and they're going to be teaching us all about the platform and seeing how we could actually implement it into our day-to-day lives and get more productive. Not just from a coding standpoint, but also from all aspects of your life and everything you do on your computer. I think it's going to be really interesting. And we've got Jim Bennett here that's going to be joining us and explaining all of the benefits of Pieces to the folks here. If you are just checking in, if you're just tuning into the broadcast, we've got the check-in link right there, scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Jim up to the stage because I don't believe I can do any justice with regards to my introduction here. I'm going to go ahead and let him explain a little bit more about what he does at Pieces for y'all. I'll see y'all later. Jim, sorry, you got to come off mute.
Sorry, I didn't realize you'd muted me. Oh no, I muted me. There we go. I was too busy dancing to the music, so I completely forgot that I was muted. So, hey everyone, how you doing? You're great to have you here. Really excited for this MLH Global Hack Week. So I'm Jim Bennett. I'm the head of developer advocacy at Pieces, and this is probably my 5th or 6th Global Hack Week that I've ever been involved in. I've done a lot of MLH events in the past. I used to work for Microsoft on education advocacy team. So if you were ever at Dub Hacks or Oxford Hack or Cambridge Hacks, you may have met me at one of those events. I may have given you some socks first thing in the morning. I'm now working for Pieces. Really excited to be here today with you. So what we're going to be talking about today is how you can supercharge your journey as a student with Pieces for developers. Now, I want this to be as interactive as you would like it to be. So feel free to jump in the comments, add questions. Rosendo is going to be popping up the most important questions to me, and I'll try and answer those as we go along. And I'll try and leave some time for Q&A at the end. Now, if you want to get in touch with me after the event, I'm always happy to geek out on tech with anyone. We're going to get my link tree dropped, scrolling across the bottom. Thank you very much. So linktree.e/JimBobBennett. On there's all my links to various socials. Please connect with me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, whatever's your platform of choice, and always happy to answer questions. I am seeing in the chat that QuicksJit is also a huge Star Wars fan. Yes, I love it. Just to forestall the usual question I get asked when I'm streaming, yes, this is all real. This is not a virtual background. This is a part of my Lego collection. There is a link on my link tree to an Amazon wish list if anyone wants to buy me some more Lego. Always greatly appreciated. Cool. Yeah. Oompa Loompa says, I love Star Wars. Yay. We all love Star Wars. Just another question in the chat I will quickly answer from CatMeow29 saying, do we need to download the Pieces app for this session? So this is going to be really me talking with a lot of demos, showing you how it works. You don't need the Pieces app to follow along, but obviously, it's a good thing to get if you want to try these things out for yourself. You can download it at pieces.app. We'll get that link put up on the screen and dropped in the chat at some point very soon. There we go. Scrolling across the bottom. Thank you very much. So let's dive right in. Now, obviously, most of your students, that's kind of why you're here at MLH. And as a student, you are always learning. You are everywhere. You're always looking to learn more. You can be in class, you could be at lectures, classes, that kind of taught type environment, or you could be doing studies in your own time, or you could be a hackathon, like, I don't know, an MLH hackathon, where you're looking to build a new skill, develop an existing one, and kind of get up to speed with technologies very, very quickly. Or maybe you're preparing for an exam. All these student folks, you have to do these exams, you have to get jobs, things like that. So maybe you're preparing for that. And wherever you are learning. It is the time in your life where you're learning probably more than any other. So you need every tool at your disposal to help you learn. No, so I just got distracted by a thing in the chat saying, he's cool when he has Star Wars collection with glasses. Yes, my R2-D2 glasses. Very cool. Not wearing a Star Wars shirt today, unfortunately. But yes, sorry, I just got distracted by that. Uh, trying to get back on topic. So the question we're really asking ourselves now, we are in a time of AI. We're seeing AI absolutely everywhere. So how can AI help you become more productive and more efficient? You're always learning. How can AI help you learn? And actually, there's so many different ways that AI can help you learn, whether it's things like tracking useful code snippets. Everybody's constantly saving code in kind of notes apps or similar. Maybe AI can help you track code snippets. Maybe AI can create tailored content, the questions that you have, rather than relying on a Google search that finds a page that may have the information you want. AI can have a more curated experience where you can ask a question and get a much more detailed answer that's maybe based off multiple web pages and just the right extracted bits that you need. AI can maybe help you become better at note taking. It can summarize notes for you, summarize lectures, documentation, or research papers, so you're better at taking notes. AI can also help explain code. You've been given a piece of code, maybe it's a lecture, a hackathon. AI can help explain this code. And AI can help you write code. Sometimes you get stuck, you know what you want to do, you don't know how to write it in the language you're using. AI can help you write this code. And these are all the things that we're going to be looking at today. Now, as a student, what is the best AI tool? Personally, I vote for Pieces for Developers. Not just because I work for them, but it is a very, very awesome tool. It's a tool that can help you be a lot more productive as a student because it covers a whole load of different capabilities that can really help you. It's not just a code generator. It is a tool that can help you across everything in your workflow, whether you're writing code, whether you're researching, or whether you're collaborating with friends, colleagues, other students. So what is Pieces? We're hearing about Pieces. People are going, woo, Pieces, what is it? So it is an AI-powered tool that's designed to help developers. So I saw there was a question earlier about, is this just for students or is it for everyone? No, it's for everyone, from hobbyists, students to seasoned professionals, and even non-developers who want to streamline their workflow. So as mentioned, unlike the kind of typical AI autocomplete tools, Pieces is designed to understand the entire context of your workflow. So it's there to work with you at everything that you do, whether it's dealing with code snippets, code files, projects of code, or even having Pieces interact with the apps that you are using on your computer. Pieces can do all these things. So let's take a look at how we can use Pieces in a number of different ways. We're going to look at how we can use Pieces in the classroom when you're in lectures. We're going to look at how you can use Pieces for self-guided learning. Then we're going to look at how you can use Pieces in hackathons. And then we're going to look at how you can use it when preparing for exams and interviews. It is a system that's going to be there with you every step of your student journey. Just start with classroom and lecture assistants. So I guess all of us do various different classes. We're students, you're there in a lot of classes. Drop in the chat, let me know what's your favorite class that you've enjoyed most at college and maybe your least favorite as well. I didn't do too many coding classes. My degree is actually in chemistry. It was a degree called computer-aided chemistry. So I did some coding as well, but definitely my favorite classes were all the coding ones. The chemistry was boring. The coding ones were fun. So I've just seen Oompa Loompa put lunch down as their favorite class. I love that. I love that. And Kolosta Vomp says predictive analytics is the best class. Nice, predictive analytics. That's cool. I used to do a little bit of Internet of Things work with AI on the edge to do kind of predictive maintenance. You kind of monitor streaming data, and then it would actually run their AI models over those live to do predictive maintenance. Very, very cool. Love that kind of stuff. So let's look through the classroom and let's just dive straight into some demos. I'm definitely a big fan of showing you how this works rather than just telling you. And I want you to imagine you're doing a data structures and algorithms class. Fairly standard. It's something you do a lot. It's very useful for exams. It's very useful for interviews when you get hit with those leet code type problems. And let's imagine you need to learn about binary trees. Okay, so you're on a lecture. The lecturer starts talking about binary trees and you have no idea what one is. Maybe you missed a class. Maybe the lecturer's just making assumptions about what you know and you don't know what it is. So how do we find out what a binary tree is? How can we quickly learn? Well, let's ask the Pieces Copilot. I'm going to go into Pieces here. This is our Pieces desktop app. And I'm going to ask, what is a binary tree? You've probably all seen similar kind of things. Maybe you've done this with ChatGPT or other kind of tools. And that's really kind of the first step of what we're doing here. Just asking the Copilot a question. Now, I'm going to praise the demo gods because demos often like to fail when you're doing things. And GPT-4o is being a little bit slow, as is its way. Sorry, I'm going to just cheat a little bit and restart everything because the fun of doing demos is this is when things fail. Also, the fun of working for a company is you get to try out all the new versions, the pre-release versions that may have problems. So let's try that again. Okay, what is a binary tree? Oh, come on. Okay. Give me a couple of seconds. And we'll just try that again. What is a binary tree? There we go. Sorry, always the way with demos. You always get technical issues. That always happens. If anyone's ever given a talk, you know what's going on. We always get these kind of problems. So Tune says, love the Pieces UI UX, by the way, very clean. Yeah, it's nice. So we use Flutter, cross-platform development tool. Very, very nice. An ethical cod asked a question about, so Pieces uses GPT-4o. It can use lots of things. We'll dive into that in just a second. But yes, it can use a lot of things. So we'll come to that in a second. But just first, let's have a look at this kind of binary tree answer that we've got. So almost like ChatGPT, it's hierarchical data structure in which a node has at most 2 children, key properties, an example, and here's some code. So it's kind of filling in quite a lot of other stuff as we go along inside here. And obviously I can then ask more questions, and more questions. Now, yeah, coming back to that question about it uses GPT, what's really cool is Pieces can use the LLM of your choice. We support 22 different LLMs. I think it's 22. It might be more by now, but we've got obviously GPT 3.5, 4, 4 Turbo, 4.0, 4.0 Mini. We've got Gemini, 3 different choices, 4 models from Anthropic, Claude models. We've got Palm you can use. And what's really cool is we have on-device models as well. So unlike ChatGPT, where you're going to a website, you have to have internet, you have to send your code to a public place. Here, you've got the choice of whether you're running it in the cloud or locally. Now, for those of us in the privileged parts of the world where internet is ubiquitous, we can use the cloud and it's fine. But for those of us where internet is incredibly expensive outside of your school, or you may even not have enough power to power your router to get access to the internet, what's great with these on-device models is you can go to your college, you can download a model like Mistral or Phi or Llama or Gemma, sorry. You could download those locally and then you can run those on device. It's great for everything that you do. So that's kind of a binary tree. That's kind of the very first thing that we're going to do is it's going to ask a question and it's going to do this it's going to show me a binary tree. Okay, all simple. DParanoid asked the question, how does it differ from other AI chat apps? Well, I've only shown you the chat bit so far. Keep watching, more magic will happen. And QuickSjit asked, wait, so we can run ChatGPT-4 for free. Pieces is currently free. We will be introducing paid tiers later on. But yes, certainly for now, you can get ChatGPT-4 for free or whichever model of your choice, which is very cool. So, okay, we've looked at a binary tree. This is good. You know, the lecturer's still talking about them. I've done my research. Now, the lecturer there, they've talked about binary trees. I've done my research. They then put up this piece of code on the board. And I want to keep a copy of this piece of code. This is how to implement a binary tree. And maybe the assignment might be to add more features. You know, here's a binary tree. Here's a function to insert. You have an assignment to do where you have to delete nodes, find nodes. So what you need is a copy of this code. So let's start by actually saving a copy of this code. That's another thing Pieces can do, is it can manage code snippets. So Pieces originally kind of started out as a code snippet management tool. So what you can do is, if you've got code available as text, whether it's in a browser, whether it's on in your IDE, you can save that as a code snippet inside Pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my browser here. I've got a GitHub gist here with the binary tree code, and I'm going to save that. And that's going to now save that into Pieces. Go back to Pieces, I go and look at my saved materials, and here's the binary tree insertion that I've just saved. Now, what's cool, and this is kind of the start of to answer deparanoid's questions about how this differs, is now that I've saved a piece of code, the AI is going to then augment this with a whole lot of useful metadata. It can do things like tracking the site that I downloaded it from. So somewhere over here, it'll probably have, I've got it zoomed in quite a lot. It's picked up, let's see, all the different links. Yeah, it's picked up down here. There's the gist it came from, and it's picked up some other sites that I've got open as well, in case it's kind of tracking the research I'm doing across multiple sites. And it's got a couple of suggested sites as well that may have relevant content for what I'm looking at. It's given some suggested searches if I wanted to Google for more information. It's given me annotations around it. So it's given me a description of the code, and it kind of understands this is code. It understands it is Python code. So it's not just copying and pasting to a notes app. This is a much smarter way of saving pieces of code. And Fansky asked the question, what was the inspiration behind the development for Pieces? It started out with this. It started out with saving pieces of code, hence the name. And then just kind of the AI was just a great way to leverage the capabilities and do more of this. Ethical Cod asks, I'm still confused with why we need Pieces for using different models. Different models have different capabilities. You might find certain programming languages are better with some models over others. You might find you get a better experience with Gemini over GPT-4, for example. So it's there for you to try out and work out which model is best for your particular use cases. And Eric Code asks, we can run this on our own machine without internet? Yes. So you can literally download the model. You need to have enough RAM to store the model. You want to run Llama, you probably need 8 gigs of RAM, maybe more. But yes, it downloads the LLM locally, and it can run those on device. As long as you've got a reasonably powerful computer. Yeah, obviously it will run on a not so powerful computer, slowly, but the more power you get, the more performant it is. You know, I've run it on a Apple M1 MacBook Air with Llama running locally, and it's fine. So to Ethical Cod's question about system requirements, you need to have enough RAM to store and run the model. So at least 8 gigs, ideally 12 to 16, and then some form of GPU makes the models run faster. So, okay, so we've got this code. I've saved this code. Now this is cool if you have access to the code as raw code, but often you're in a lecture and this is up on the board. It's up on a projector screen. You can see this, but you can't obviously copy the code because it's on the screen. So what Pieces can also do, I'm just going to grab a screenshot of this. Let's grab that screenshot, save that to my desktop, and I can just drag the screenshot in, and it's grabbed it, it's interpreted it as code, and it's given me the same augmentation. So whether I'm dropping in a code file, whether I'm using the browser extension or IDE extension to add code, or a screenshot, I can still get code in there and use it. Very, very powerful for storing all the code snippets. Okay, now once I've got a code snippet, maybe I need to share this with someone. You're at a hackathon, for example, like, I don't know, Global Hack Week, got a bit of code, I want to then send this off to someone else. So what I can do, I can go here and click the share button, and I can either share this as a gist, or I can get a link that I can just drop this in the clipboard and anyone else can actually download this, this link. So if I want to share it with someone, I give someone this link. I missed the lecture, no problem. A friend took a screenshot, saved the screenshot, they can then share the link with me. It's kind of very, very powerful. It's not just the code that's shared, all the metadata gets shared with it. Now, what you can do with these code snippets as well as all the AI-based augmentation, you can add more annotations to this yourself. So if you're capturing code snippets in a data structures and algorithms class, you can tag those code snippets to make it easy to find them. So I can say here, for example, this was for my data structures and algorithms class. Let's go into my data, go into my tags, just add a new tag, and I'll call this DSA 101. Done. And then if I want, I can come in and I can search DSA 101, and I'll find all the code that I've tagged with that particular filter. So it's great. You can help organize your code snippets by class or by the hackathon you're at, or by kind of whatever way that you want to do this. Sharon says, what is Piece's privacy policy? Can they see our data? So we don't see the data that you send to the LLM. We don't care about that. We're not one of those companies that's mining your data, training models on the data. We don't care. We just send it to the LLM. We have a privacy policy. If you go to pieces.app, the link that's scrolling across the bottom, there's a link on there to our privacy policy on everything. But no, we don't care about your searches. That's not in our interest to do that. Okay, so I've annotated my code. It's great. So one of these features we've looked at for Pieces in the classroom. You've got the LLM-powered Copilot with your choice of LLMs, so you can ask about what you are learning if you need to learn more about something. You can keep track of code snippets, and they're augmented with AI. You can get code from screenshots. Once you've got a code snippet, it's very easy to share it with friends or fellow students. And you can annotate that for easy search. So annotate it with the class that you're in. And what's called as Pieces is where you are. So we've seen it in the browser. I had an extension in the browser, one click, save the snippet. Seen it in the desktop app. We've also got it in an IDE. It's all very cool. We want Pieces to be where you are, so you don't have to keep jumping around between different places to access the different bits of Pieces. Okay, so let's move on. Now you're doing some self-guided learning. So you learned about binary trees. You've done some learning in the classroom. You've saved a code snippet, but now you do some self-guided learning. You want to learn more about binary trees. Maybe you're researching by yourself. Maybe you're in a study group. So how can Pieces help you with self-guided learning? Well, first thing Pieces can do is the Copilot can explain code. You can paste code into a chat. You can get it to explain a code snippet, or you can get it to explain code in whatever app you're in the desktop app, in the browser, or an IDE. You can save a code snippet from the browser, augment it in a desktop app, and then use it in an IDE, such as VS Code or any of the JetBrains suite or Sublime Text, Neovim, what have you. And you can use some of the features of the integrations with these different tools to explain code. So for example, I go to Visual Studio Code. I've got this binary tree code here. Let's get it to explain it, for example. In fact, you know what? Let's go into my snippets because I want to see my snippets here. Here I am in my code snippets. There we go. And let's ask the Copilot, explain this code line by line. Oh, okay. Let me just re-ask that question. Okay. That is being silly. The curse of the demigods, curse of demigods. You know what? Doesn't matter. Let's just do it from the actual code here. Pieces, ask Copilot. There we go. Yeah, so now explaining it line by line. So I'm in my IDE, I've got given a piece of code. This is going through explaining it. Defines a class name node, special method in Python for init. And then it doesn't just say this line assigns this line assigns that. It's got a bit more information. So like this line initializes the left attribute, the right attribute. When we do the checks, it describes like this particular line here. If the key is greater than the current node, inserts corporate cursor, and so on and so on and so on. So we kind of get these certain level of line by line breakdown of the code that we're looking at. So any new piece of code we've got, we can ask it to explain it. It's great if you've got a new concept you're trying to learn. Also great if you've got a new language that you're trying to learn. If you're given some Python code, but you're experiencing JavaScript, this can be great for explaining that. It's a very, very cool feature. And you can do that wherever you are. You can ask Copilot in your browser. You can ask Copilot in your IDE, wherever you are. Now, as well as explaining it, it can also do things like commenting code. It's great to have the explanation for you, but maybe you want to comment that code, save that code snippet for later, so you don't have to ask again. Okay, I mean, I've got a lens here, click pieces comment. And there you go. This has now created a version of my code here with a full set of comments. So let's just copy that, drop that in there. And there you go. Exactly the same code, but I've got function level comments and I've got line level comments. So kind of great to get the code explanation not only there in front of me, but actually have that back in my code base. Very, very cool. Now, what's cool as well is obviously we're working with code here, but the Copilot can help with documentation. So Pieces is able to provide real-time context over what you are reading and discussing, regardless of the app you use. You can kind of imagine Pieces as a little helper watching over your shoulder, understanding what you're doing, and then capturing context for any developer-focused activities in a secure, private way processed on device. So Pieces can capture things across all the different applications you're using and then expose that to Copilot chats if you want to. So for example, if I was, where am I? If I'm over here, and I'm reading about binary trees in Wikipedia. So I've got this article here. There's a lot of stuff. As we know with Wikipedia, it tries to be deep and thorough. But of course, sometimes it gets overly complex because it's trying to be so thorough. But I'm reading it, and okay, just reading this, a lot of stuff, a lot of things I don't understand, different operations. Okay, we've all done this. We're there reading stuff, and it's just like I can't keep track of all this. I don't know what it is. This is way too confusing. Yeah. A lot of stuff here. Okay, you know what? How about I go and start a new chat in Pieces? Go to Pieces, new chat, turn on live context, and then summarize the Wikipedia article I was just reading on binary search trees. And there you go. It knows what I was reading. And it's gone through, it captures everything you're reading multiple times a second, runs OCR over it to just put out the text, runs a relevancy engine to work out what it needs to keep, stores that, and then can feed that to the LLM. So this has given me a summary of the Wikipedia article I was just researching. And this is great, whether it's something I'm reading in the browser or whether it's a chat I'm having with a hackathon team, this can take whatever I'm doing and give me that kind of summary. And then from here, I can ask more questions. Give me more details on the operations. And there you go. It's now giving me more details with some rough language. Again, this language is marked as an unsupported language because it's tracked the pseudocode from the Wikipedia article that I was reading. Clumsy Shining Star asked, how does Pieces know that? Magic. Now, so we have this thing, we call it the workstream pattern engine, and it runs all the time in the background, and you can kind of turn it off whenever you want to, if you need to turn it off for a while, and it watches what you do. It's literally capturing your screen, running OCR over it to get the text of what you're looking at, making sure that's relevant. It's stripping out API keys, it's stripping out person identifiable information, all processed on device and locally, all stored locally, and then when you ask a question, using the live context, it'll take vector embeddings for everything that's captured and send that to the LLM. Now, that does mean that what you're doing on your computer leaves your computer just while it goes up to the LLM. But obviously, if you're not happy with that, then you can just run an LLM on device and then nothing ever leaves your computer. So very powerful. I use this all the time. I'll be having a chat with someone, go and take a break for lunch, come back. What was I just doing? This kind of ability to ask these questions. In fact, what did Binder04 just ask in StreamYard? Okay, let me try and edit this question. Ask in Maybe because I misspelled StreamYard, it doesn't know what I was talking about. Let's see if it's going to work from StreamYard. Nope, it's not recognizing my StreamYard chat that's going on. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's going to be a bit funny with StreamYard. Natalia Ahmad asked, can this read the text from images? Yes. Literally, it's capturing images all the time. So it can read the text from images, which is very, very cool. So that's really cool. You're reading documentation. You kind of use the Copilot to summarize everything you're researching. So for self-guided learning, what can pieces do? It's got the LLM-powered Copilot that can explain and comment your code. And you've got those live context capabilities that can answer questions on what you are looking at. It does it with the apps that are in the foreground. It's probably why I didn't pick up Harbinder's questions that I've got up on the StreamYard, because I haven't activated StreamYard in the foreground. I've only activated the apps on one monitor. So it only picks up what you're doing in the foreground. Okay, let's talk about hackathons. Who here has ever been to a hackathon? And yes, that's all of you, because Global Hack Week counts. Now, we all know that at a hackathon, you have to kick up your code game. Yeah, you've got to get better. You've got to build something in 24 hours or less. Very short period of time. You're very focused. You've got to get stuff done. So how can pieces help with a hackathon? Well, obviously, we've seen you can ask pieces to summarize some code that you've got in your IDE. You can ask it to summarize the things you're reading. But you also drag in files and folders to work with as well. So imagine you've joined a hackathon team and they've already started building something that you want to leverage, or you're using existing project as like a base that you want to build on. Pieces can help you understand this code really, really quickly. So for example, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to start a new chat, choose folders, select folders. I'm going to choose this particular folder here, and then describe this Babylon.js project. And what is it saying? Based on provided context, the folder I've dropped in, this Babylon.js project appears to be a simple 3D game. Just give it time to finish. Doing lots of processing. A lot of information coming back. A lot of information. Very, very useful. While it's doing this, Natalia Ahmed asks, how does the Copilot differ from GitHub Copilot? So GitHub Copilot obviously does the autocomplete. We don't do autocomplete in line. That's something that GitHub Copilot does. So you can kind of use GitHub Copilot with pieces as well. We kind of have the separate chat for doing everything. And GitHub Copilot's in VS Code. We are everywhere. So we have it on the desktop app. We have it in the browser. We have it in your IDE of choice. So rather than just have that autocomplete and a small chat window, we are everywhere. Plus also the whole context thing. GitHub Copilot works on the code files you have open. We can work on anything, like dropping in a whole folder of code or a code snippet or the research you're doing in a browser or a collaboration tool. So here we go. This is what it's summed up from this folder of code. Based on provided context, this Babylon.js project appears to be a simple 3D cube game involving a flying cube. It's given a basic breakdown of the structure, what all the files are, some of the key features, and then some example code snippets to show things that are happening. It's got the libraries that's used, everything. So suddenly I can get up to speed very, very quickly with this project in my hackathon. Very, very cool. And if I want to ask more questions, if I want to dig in further, I can. It can show me the relevant files in there. So if I want to look at a particular file, there it is in Finder. I could then drop this file in to ask more questions, things like that. So I've got this ability to bring in the context I want into my conversations. Now, pieces can also help. And I know there's Harbinger asked the question, does it give a translation summary in any language? If you mean spoken language, then good question. Let's try. Re-answer that question in Japanese. Yes, all depends on the power of the LLM. So if you've got a GPT-4 can do different languages, so there's the same answer in Japanese. So if you're talking about translation to languages, it can do that. If you're talking about translation into different programming languages, that is also something that pieces can do. So pieces, you capture a snippet of code in one language, maybe you want that in another. For example, in your hackathon, you're going to take the Flappy Cube game in TypeScript. You want to put a binary search tree in because you just learned about those. The code you have is in is in Python, and you need that in TypeScript. So we can do that. We can do that very quickly from inside Pieces. So I'm going to go to my Save Materials, go to what I've got here. I click in fact, what I'm doing, let's click duplicate. And when I duplicate it, I can ask for it to be changed. I can ask for it to be duplicated exactly the same, make it more readable, more performant, use it as a template, or change the language. So let's duplicate this into TypeScript. I can have more instructions here if I want, like different libraries to use. Click generate, and that will create me a new copy of my code, but written in TypeScript. Done. There we go. There's my code in TypeScript. So great if I've got code in one language and I want to get it in a different programming languages. Jane Prack asks, do Pieces have any slow loading issues? So we run as fast as the LLM does. So, if GPT-4o is running slowly, it runs slowly for us. If you're running an LLM on device, you will get a certain performance hit compared to running a LLM in the cloud. And one advantage of being able to choose the different LLMs is you can work out which one is the right speed for what you want to do. So if you find there's a particular LLM that runs faster for you, you can flip to using that particular LLM. Great question. Okay, so we've got our code in TypeScript now. We can do more stuff with it. Also, we can use a Copilot to create code. Going back to the question of how does this compare to GitHub Copilot? Copilot's great for creating code. Same thing here. We can use this to create code, whether it's brand new code or whether it is code that is just changing existing code as we do things. So what I can do, let's go back to my Copilot chat and say in English, in case it thinks it should be in Japanese, how can I store the current game score in local storage? I've heard about this local storage thing. How can I do it? Okay, so it's given me the code I need. If I want to kind of save the score, it's spitting out a whole lot of code for me, and it's actually doing it relevant to the game that I've got. So if I go back up to the top, plenty of output here. Here's a function to do it. I can save this to Pieces if I want to, and it uses local storage. This is how I can get the score. Let's save that to Pieces as well. And then it's given me an example integration of how to save the score when the game ends, display the score on the UI, and it knows it's the Flying Cube game, so it's actually going to be adding it to the UI code that I'd have in one of the code files that's detected, which is very, very cool. And you know what? I think local storage keeps the score between browser sessions, but let's just ask, can local store, I can't type storage keep score between browser sessions? Yes. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Being overly helpful here. Being overly helpful. Have you finished yet? Yes, it's finished. So yeah, it's being overly helpful, giving me extra stuff. But yes, local store keep data, including game score, between browser sessions. Data store that does not expire. So I'm going to ask these questions, gather this information that I need. Now, it's great for creating new code, but also it's great for editing code. So when I'm in my IDE, I can actually ask Pieces to edit the code that I'm working on. So for example, I'm here in the Flying Cube game, and I've got this Flying Cube, and I want it to be the Flying Sphere game. So I can take this, I can go Pieces, ask Copilot, change the player object to a sphere. The curse of doing demos always happens. Let's do that in here. Let's just rerun that chat in here. And there we go. It's giving me the code I need to create a sphere. Let's save that to Pieces. And then I go back here and go back to my code snippets. Where is it? Here we go. And there's my code snippet. This is the one I want. I just drop that in there. And now it's creating a sphere. So it's kind of great for then editing code as I'm going along. Clumsy Shining Star asks, can pieces help me make my website? As in helping me with fixing coding errors and help me figure out what to add in different places. Yes, yes, it can. You can give it the code that you've got. You can ask it to review the code. You can ask it to get feedback on it. And then you can ask it to, where you say, I want to add this feature. What can I do? And as long as it's got the whole folder of the project as context, it can give you those answers based on the actual code base that you're looking at. So the same as I did over here, and I dropped in my folder of code, you can just drop in your project in there and ask those questions. Jane Pratt asks, is there a possibility of changing any files locally? So we don't edit the files. We will give you the content that you can then use to edit the files yourself. So yes, we have buttons to insert a cursor. If you comment some code, you can say accept the changes, we'll automatically overwrite it, but we don't fix your code. You can't say rewrite my project and have it go off and touch your code for you. This is a co-pilot, so it's designed to sit there next to you and help you code. It's not designed to take over and build applications for you. Yeah, you're still very much in control. It's here to give you suggestions. Great question, though. Okay, so what have you looked at for hackathons? Your Copilot can translate code from one language to another, as you know, if you need it. In one language, you've got a snippet code in another language, it can translate that for you. It can generate new code for your project. So I need a bit of code to do this, write me this piece of code, helps you get it delivered very, very quickly. And you can edit existing code. So I need to add this new feature to my code base. And then obviously, I don't have a team chat. Maybe I can go over here, let pieces sum up what's going on in the comments over here. Let's see if it can sum up the hackathon chat. New chat, live context. What did Yes. Oh, can we write unit tests using pieces? That is a question. Not quite correct, because actually Electic who asked that question. But it's great for summarizing the conversation. So great to summarize that kind of chat that you might have during a hackathon. And yes, to Eclectic's question, yes, you can write unit tests. So you can give a piece of code and say, write me unit tests, and we'll spit those out. And to Sanjana Dhampala's question, it doesn't autocomplete. No. No. GitHub Copilot's great for auto-completion. We kind of do more. We're about asking questions and chatting and interacting with all the context across everything. Yes. How useful autocomplete is, people have different experiences. I've had some great experiences with it, and I've had some terrible experiences with it. And I often accidentally press tab and it fills it in for me when I don't want it to fill it in. So, we don't do autocomplete as of now, and we don't have any plans in the immediate future to add it. Okay, exam and interview prep. Last thing we're going to wrap up with. Let's look at exam and interview prep. So all of you are students, so you're going to be doing exams, and you probably want a job. So you're probably going to have to prep for interviews. I know we're all likely to be independently wealthy, so we don't have to work, but that's not the way of the world. So how can pieces help you with interview prep? We've already seen that it can summarize things you're reading, but it can do a whole lot more. So for example, you can get practice problems. If you're doing leak code interviews, or you're just practicing on leak code, you can ask pieces for some practice problems. But you know what, let's do that. Let's get a new chat going and give me an example leak code problem to solve. Okay, and it's asking me to solve two-sum, which is where you have an array of integers, a target number, and then you have to work out which two numbers add up to that target. Now, this has given me an actual solution as well, which is not ideal for learning, because this is going to bias my version of that. So let me just re-ask the same question, a little bit of prompt engineering, without a solution, please. I'll be nice, I'll say please. So it's giving me a different one this time, but it hasn't actually given me an answer to this. This is great and give me a few problems that I can try. Yeah, obviously with a solution, it's not great because if I'm just reading the solutions, I'm not learning how to solve the problems. Instead, I can use this to ask for a problem that I can then go off and solve myself. Now, once I've got my solution, pieces can then help me with maybe finding a better solution to the problem. You know, if I've come up with a terrible answer, what's really great is I can try this, come up with an answer, and get pieces to review it. And it can say, yes, that's a good answer. That's not a good answer. You can improve it. So, for example, I have got over here a solution to the two-sum problem, the one that popped up first. This is my solution to it. I've run it. It works. It's great. Let's take this and let's go pieces, ask Copilot, can you review this solution to the two-sum problem? Give me suggestions for improvements. For some reason, it is not playing ball. Oh, it is playing ball. It is playing ball. There's me. Right. So what it's done is it spat out a different version of the code with a dictionary. Okay. And it's saying, your solution works, but it's a time complexity of O(n) to the power of 2 due to the nested loops. A more efficient approach is to use a dictionary to store the elements in the indices. Allows you to solve the problem in O(n) time complexity. Okay, cool. And so it's actually giving me a more detailed breakdown. So this is great for reviewing what I've come up with. I've tried something and pieces goes, nah, that's not great. You can do this to, you can do this better. Now, when I first ran this through, it came up and said, create a hash map. So if I'm doing data structure and algorithms, I'm trying to learn how to do something. You know, I'm going to be hitting these new concepts, like it might say, use a hash map. And so if I get these new concepts, again, I can ask questions. So what is a hash map? Helps with my learning. It says use this data structure. I can then ask for a breakdown of the data structure. Like here is a breakdown of what a hash map is. In this particular answer, it used the term dictionary, but when I first ran this, it came up with hash map. And so I can use this to kind of ask those. So when it suggests a data structure or an algorithm, I can then use the Copilot to ask those questions. Great for learning. Also good for explaining concepts. As I said, I can ask about a hash map. If it comes up with anything that I don't understand, it can explain it for me. If I'm looking at a job description and it says knowledge of this, this, and this, it can explain it. So just like I just did with the hash map, I can get these explanations. So what have we learned about pieces for exam and interview prep? Well, it can suggest elite code problems for you. It can review your answers and suggest optimizations. And then when it gives you better answers and it teaches you a new data structure and your algorithm, it can explain that for you. It's all in one place. So the conclusion is kind of AI is really what's going to help you be a 10x developer. We'll talk about these 10x developers. Really, to be a 10x developer, you want to be focused. You want to get the answers that you need so you can carry on coding. And AI can help you get that. And to Che and Sakar's question, I'm learning to code. Should I use AI now? Yes. Do not use AI to replace what you're doing. Use AI as a copilot to augment what you're doing. Use it to answer the questions that you have rather than write the code for you. Great question. Natalia Ahmed asked, can we use pieces as an API? Yes, check out Chevet's session tomorrow at I think it's like 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll show you how you can actually write code against the pieces LLMs. You can choose the LLM of your choice and write code against pieces yourself. So what can you leverage AI to do? You can get help from a copilot. You can capture and understand code snippets. You can summarize what you're reading. You can create and manipulate code. You can get suggestions for coding problems. You can review the code that you write and teach you those new concepts. If you want to learn more, here's a QR code that takes you to pieces.app. Obviously, we've got the link scrolling along the bottom. Download it, currently free. We've got an open discussion going on our pricing model. We want to be transparent about this. I'm a huge fan of students having access for literally next to nothing, if not nothing. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully we'll have some good student offers coming, but it's still very much an open discussion at the moment. Also, if you want to learn more about pieces, oh, now this is doing this for me. Weird. There we go. Go to pieces.app/Discord. That's our Discord server. We'll share a link in the MLH Discord as well, so you can jump onto our Discord server and ask us questions at any time. Cool. With that, we've got like 30 seconds left. I'll answer one question. Can I select the most preferable solution like ChatGPT sometimes asks you? I'd love to have only necessary amount of answers. Yes, so you could say, here's a problem, give me the best solution, the most optimal one. And yes, it can help you with that. And with that, I think we're at time. Thank you very much indeed.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Jim. For the folks in chat, I saw a ton of questions asking where you could find the recording of this. This is going to be on our YouTube and Twitch right afterwards, so you can go back and watch it again. But thank you so much, Jim, for hosting this workshop for us. It was awesome. I'm really excited for tomorrow's workshop.
Thank you. This was fun.
Alrighty, bye everyone.